Welcome everyone to episode 393 of Just Joshing. I am your host Josh Penteloresco. I write stuff in podcast too. Today Kathrin Hutson returns to the podcast and we have a fun little two-part conversation. Kat's one of my favorite people. I am incredibly touched. I'm so happy she's succeeding. I really, really am. I love her. She's an incredibly talented writer. I love her just her attitude on life. There are very few people on this podcast I click with as well as her. She's an amazing human being, and I'm very fortunate to have her on my show every chance I get. So this was a conversation I'm super happy to have. It came a little earlier than I expected. I was originally going to have Chase Dagenhart on today talking about his app, but couldn't do it. I tried fixing a file and it just would not work for whatever reason. But all things considered, I mean, really, you can never go wrong with Kathrin Hutson, ever. Not in a million years. Kat's amazing. And we talk about her new book. We talk about time and how important things are. So let's just get to that conversation, shall we?
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
Okay, so my initial master plan was when I went to BC is I wanted to get into the film industry a little bit because I don't have a lot of contacts in the film industry. It's one of the few areas I don't, right? And then COVID happened, and then it's like, well, the film industry isn't going to happen again probably till the earliest the fall, more likely next year, right? So me staying in BC just made no sense, and so I decided, I wanted to live a creative life. That was my goal going out there. It's like I didn't go out to BC or I didn't come back here to Windsor just to do what I've always done. I came out here to embrace a creative life and go for something. So I quit my job, I started doing some freelancing stuff, and it's been an interesting ride.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But you're doing it, and that's the thing, you know?
Well, you have to, at some point in your life, you gotta say, okay, listen, I can go exactly where I've been and know exactly where this is gonna go, or I can do something completely different, and what's the worst that can happen? I'd have to rebuild later. Okay, I've been poor before, whatever.
Right, I mean, but yeah, when you've been there before, the worst that can happen really isn't as bad as imagining it before it's ever been experienced, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm actually in a better position than I was when I was poor. When I was poor, I actually have some money in the bank, so I don't have to go get unemployment. My rent and food are essentially covered for the time being. I'm house sitting, so I don't have to worry about that for the short term. Now, long term, I'm going to have to, I've already exceeded my first month's freelance goals I've more than doubled it, which is good. I might triple it before it's all said and done this month. Maybe I don't, but that's not really the point. The point is you got to get started this month and see if I can make the same amount of money next month or more, and keep building my name up for what I'm going to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. Way to just jump right in.
Well, you have to. I mean, look, everybody, this is actually, as dumb, as crazy as this sounds, this is actually the best time to do it.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Totally, yeah, because
there's nothing to lose. I mean, there's
right,
there's nothing to lose.
It's true. For a lot of people, there is nothing to lose, and it's great, it's freeing in a lot of ways, and I think once people are able to not necessarily forget about the fear, or just kind of, not talking about living in la la land, but if you can set it aside and just say, well, anyway, I'm just gonna do it anyways. And there's so much more freedom to be gained, and especially when there's that the sense of comfort and stability has already been ripped out from beneath so many people's feet. Why not?
Well, I just sent you. I sent you a link to my first freelance article. I think you'd enjoy the philosophy behind it.
Excellent.
Yes.
I will read it. Very nice.
Yeah, so it was, and like I said, I've been pitching. I pitched to the Salvation Army. I pitched to a humor magazine talking about the importance of surprise and humor. And I started with my mashed potato story, which I thought was hilarious. And then, no, I'm just like, I look at it like this. I know there's going to be ups and downs for the next few months. Because there has to be. I've made a change. So there's going to be that zone, but as I keep doing more things, I'm a decent writer. I'm a world-class interviewer, and that's like no hyperbole. I truly believe that, and so I should be able to do something with it. And even if it doesn't go where I want it to go right now, doesn't matter. I did it. I tried. I went for it, and that's important. It's not. Look. We're all gonna fail in life. That's just the way it goes, right? You can't be right. You can't be afraid to fail, but you also can't be afraid to succeed either. And you have to go for it. And you know, I'd rather say I did everything I want. I hate regret. Like I absolutely, like, in my head, I hate regret.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, it keeps you stuck in the past and stuck on things that literally have no control over because it's done. You know, like there's no point. So yeah, I mean, you want to go have no regrets. Absolutely. Honestly, sometimes I think it's scarier to look at potential success than it is to look at potential failure.
Absolutely. It's because I won the Aurora for my podcast, and I realized that it's like, holy shit, how did I get there, right?
Right.
That's like literally, that was the thought I had in there, and I came up with my own like rules for success, and the reason I did that was because I had to put it in perspective, right? Yeah. When you realize that both failure and success is a process, the only real difference is success comes with expectations. Failure does not, right? It's the only actual difference. Failure is a tool of success. I'm going to be trying Facebook ads when I launch my book. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It's like, hey, I don't know if it's going to get more readers. I'm doing a newsletter tour where I'm going in different newsletters to promote my book. Because that just makes sense. I've done some interviews. I'm hoping to contact reviewers. I don't know what this is going to equate to. All I do know is, right, like, that's how I'm going to try to build my name up. I've been approached on LinkedIn, and I'm just treating this time like it's an opportunity, but there's a process. Now, some of this stuff is not going to work, and I know that right off the bat. But some of this stuff will stick, and what sticks is what's going to keep working for me going forward. Like, I started my newsletter again, and before I even had an issue out, I already had made money on my newsletter, which is something I was like, whoa, okay.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? Yeah. So and I didn't do a damn thing. I was just like, hey, I have a newsletter. It's like, oh, I have a newsletter. Holy shit, right? And right, and that's it. And that's it. I've just been treating. I had a good piece of advice from a friend of mine. He goes to me, listen, there's two things you got to do to be successful. The first one, and the first one is you got to look at things from the point of view of abundance, not scarcity, which is a very important mindset. I treat every day like it's an opportunity, and almost every week. Now, not every day do I get the same opportunities, but every week I get opportunities and just different things, and it's really cool just to kind of go, let's just ride it. Let's just trust the process, and let's just surrender to where it goes. Number one. But number two, and this is the other thing, and I'm working on this a little bit because it's hard with friends. It's really hard with friends. Don't work for free. You got to.
Oh my god, that is a huge hurdle to get over.
Yeah, well, you have to.
So much, right? Well, yeah, if doing the things that you love, if you want to be melding money in abundance with these things that you're doing, regarding friends, absolutely, and it's yeah, it seems like such a scary thing to be like, hey, we're buddies, we're cool, but I need you to pay me for this. And most of the time, at least in my experience, it turns out to be not as bad as.
No.
In like my imagination of like, oh, these people are gonna hate me now, and be like, why can't I get a discount? Blah blah blah. But it rarely happens.
Well, no, you have to do it. Like, so yeah. One of my favorite stories, and this I love. So I have a column coming up tonight. Yay, first comics. Right? So I had a column just literally come out right while we were talking. So
Sweet. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just now going next week's newsletter. It says a piece of writing that has been released. It's always good to keep building your resume. That's actually the tricky part, because you have to prove you can do stuff. So you kind of still have to work for free, kind of, sort of.
Oh, yeah. I've been there, too.
Yeah. It's a weird balancing act, right? Again, I'm getting started, right? So we'll see where I am in 3 months.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be 3 months worlds away.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. Like, the other thing, too, is I'm too old to work for people. I've come to that conclusion. I'm too old. I'm not going to get a proper retirement working for any of these companies anymore. It's not going to exist by the time I get there. So fuck that. So why waste my time? And
yeah, and I mean, working for people and being in charge of people.
Oh God, no! Don't punish me. Don't punish me. There's not enough alcohol in the world.
It's awful. I tried to organize a project just about a month ago, and I really didn't want to do it, and I was like, I would just rather tell this person no, right? Like, I can't. I'm sorry. My husband was like, but you could make some extra money doing it, and all it takes is you just organizing it and like putting all the pieces together. Yeah, I guess I could. So I did it, and I tried it out, and it was like the worst experience ever. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. It was so stressful and awful, and like, nope. I like working for myself and like having my own clients and doing what I want to do.
Yeah,
and
no.
Then, oh my gosh.
No. So let me tell you a true story. So my day job, they couldn't punish me. Okay, I refused to get promoted. I refused to just even because one, the first step is a very, very tiny jump in pay, and it's just not worth it. Right? It's just not worth the headache. But then I realized that's the only way you could punish me in this job is to promote me. You can't do anything else to me. You could even fire me and it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't care. Right? It just
yeah.
Yeah,
at some point almost, you hope you get fired.
Yeah, well,
it's not your choice.
Well, no. So you got to be really careful about that. And this is kind of what I mean by this. You got to be really, 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 really careful about that one, because what I find is with you got to be very careful about your professional standards when you do work for people. There's a limit to. So when you work for somebody, what I find is the tendency is they try to get as much out of you as they can for whatever little they're paying you. So you have to fight that, but at the same time, you can't give them so little it makes everything else you do toxic either. You have to find that happy medium of, okay, this is what I will professionally give you each and every day, and I won't go an inch over that, because fuck you. You don't pay enough. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Right? And you got it, and you have to recognize, and a lot of people make this mistake, especially when they're getting started, because they want to impress, they want to stay on the job and all that stuff. No, you don't do, like, you have to be very careful what you give at the very beginning, because most of these places do not reciprocate the same love you're going to put into it. Like, work's your worship. And by that I mean is how you work dictates kind of how you live your life. I truly do believe that. But so again, there's a really tricky balance now. You don't want to go so low that it makes everything else you do in your life toxic, but you don't want to go so high that you're getting undervalued, right? For the effort you're putting.
I mean, same thing applies to freelancing and working for yourself too. And at the same time, on top of that, you are your own. What's the word I'm looking for?
Boss?
Like spokesperson, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're your own boss, but also, you're not waiting for someone to notice the value that you provide. You can come in right away and say, hey, look, this is the value I provide. This is my rate.
Mm-hmm.
I will, do a free sample or do a trial run for you, or, you'll pay me for this. And after this, we'll go up to my normal rates after you see, what I can do. I had to go through that quite a bit myself too. And it's nice to be your own advocate. That was the word I was looking for. You know, you don't have to wait for somebody else to show your strengths. You get to do it all yourself, and also that takes quite a bit of time in the beginning when you're getting used to the feeling of being able to do all that for yourself, which is also scary.
Yes. Well, it's a really tough. It's a tough balancing act, and we got to work, and you have to figure all this stuff out. I had to kind of like going into this, I had to figure out what can I offer. And the other thing too is like you have to have confidence, like what can I offer people that really matters. Again, looking at my skill set, decent writer. I think I do an okay job. I make people laugh. I mean, and I'm working on always getting better on that. But interviews are my real strength, and I can talk to pretty much anybody. And that's my biggest. And I figured that's where I'll probably make the most money, is because I am very good at that. So I'm approaching companies and going, I'm like, okay, listen, I can help you with your companies, I can help you with your podcast, because right now optimism is a big thing needed right now with everything that's going on. Yes. I'm good at that. I'm really good at that. Right?
Right, and when you've got a skill that is optimism, not to mention keeps you optimistic during a time when the pool of that has grown quite shallow, I mean, hey, high demand right there, like you don't have to
I stand out in the crowd. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
No, right, and that's the other thing too. I know I'm standing out right now because it's not something that how do I put this? It's not something easy for people to understand, because again, I've been to the bottom. You've been through your own hard times, so you know what it's like when you experience the bottom and you let it break you and you kind of rebuilt yourself from the ground up. It doesn't hit you the same way anymore. You're kind of just
there's a huge callus. I just had this conversation with my husband. I mean, it was like a month ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just recently. But we're in the midst of everything that's happening in the world right now, and we were just sitting down together at the end of the day, and I was like, man, I feel a little guilty for not being more torn up about this like everyone else is. My life hasn't changed too much. I still hardly leave the house and spend all day writing, so it's not a big deal. Things aren't that different for us, and we're so incredibly fortunate that that's the case. And I was feeling bad about not feeling
bad.
The effects of everything. Yeah, because I was like, am I just a callous person? Or,
no.
And I was thinking through it, and I wasn't beating myself up, but I was just sharing my thoughts about it. I feel like everything that I have gone through in my life and all my dark days and the rough roads have left me with an ability to handle stuff like this fairly well, And then of course the next morning, I ended up reading something that had been posted online by a far removed relative that was, I'm assuming, meant all in good fun. It was actually quite venomously offensive and pretty racist, and that kind of tore me apart. That was what unraveled me. That stuff is happening, in the midst of all this. Anyways, but I don't need to go into all of that. But
no, you don't have to.
There's a big difference I've noticed in after having hit that bottom.
Do you want to hear what my first thought was when everything, I knew for sure that this was a real thing, everything was going to shut down. Okay, I had just one fear, and that was so my one fear was, I was in Vancouver, my family was in Windsor. That's why I moved, because I wanted to be at least near my family and during this time, because the last thing you want to be locked up is in the middle of nowhere doing nothing you want to do, no family near you at all. Right? So that was a little, I got to admit, I got a little anxious at that thought. That bothered me. Nothing else even remotely touching. And the moment that was taken care of, I was like, okay, how can I make money in this? That literally was my first thought. It's and I thought,
nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. No,
but I realized why, because there's no grief there's no grief at all. This is if you've been through adversity before, the reality is, you know what, you've been down this road before. Everything you know is taste from under you. That's cool. Done. I've been there.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know what tomorrow's going to be like. Well, that's always the truth. So okay, that's true.
Right.
You don't know when this is going to end. No, you don't. But it is eventually going to end. So that's true. And so okay, there's that. And what can you control? Well, I can worry about today, and I'll let tomorrow come on its own. Holy shit!
Exactly.
Holy shit! I'm well adjusted. How can I make money doing this? That's that was like a thought. That's it.
Yeah,
That's everything in one. Yeah. That's everything in one go, right? So
it's important. It's great, and I hope. I so very much hope that everyone who is struggling right now through all these things comes out with the same kind of toolbox for processing and growing from crisis that that you and I and people like us before this whole worldwide thing who had hit rock bottom, and made it through, have grown and, what's the word? Curated for ourselves,
Yes.
Like, I do hope that so many more people. That's funny, I think, like, the last time that I was on your show, we were talking about that, like, maybe more people should go through, like, some serious difficulties. Not that I would wish what's happening right now on anyone, but it seems to have kind of come to fruition in a way, like, people are being forced to look at some things. And I know that it's rough, and I know that it is, like, scary and intense, and a lot of people may not know what to do with it. And at the same time, it is an incredible opportunity for growth on the other side of things, and that's pretty cool, that it's happening all at the same time for so many people, taking a silver lining to it and not to underplay, anyone's struggles, because they are very real and valid, absolutely, right now.
Well, it's so here's the thing, like, up until a certain point, I could really look at somebody and tell that whether they've been through adversity or not. Right? You can figure that out just based on how they approach things. So the longer this goes, the longer this unsurety lasts, people are going to develop their own calluses to it. So then, and there will be another crisis of some kind down the road, whatever that crisis is.
Yeah.
People are not going to panic as much. This is, in the long run, for a lot of people, this is going to be a good thing, because this is going to force people to reevaluate how they've done things up until this point, which is always a good, right? Which
we don't want to be zombies, for life.
No, exactly. We don't want to do that. But the other part of it is, I look at it kind of like everybody, like, There are two ways you can have it. I had this I was on Spilling Ink, and Jason and me had this thing I did, and I was eternally optimistic about just where things are going, right? And there's a depressing aspect of it too, and they're both valid. But I choose the optimistic one simply because I realize that really, if you get right down to it, I don't think you really have a choice. Because I realize that, I don't want to stay in this position forever, and even though there's not a lot I can control right now, I can control how I am in the day, and I control how I feel during the day. Like today, I wrote 4,000 words today, right?
Well done.
I know.
Yeah, very well done.
Yeah, I wrote a column, which got handed in and is already out.
Nice.
That was about 1,000 words. I wrote my newsletter, which is about another 1,200 words, and I put another 2,000 words into a chapter on my next novel. Which is, so then I did all that by 12 noon. I took a nap from like 1 to 4. It was good. Yeah, I got
my kid, man.
Yeah, so, because I can control all that, right? And I realize that even though right now I may not see the immediate reward, the fact is I can create the discipline for myself to keep going and keep doing things and going forth and so on and so forth. And because I have those, again, the toolbox as well, this isn't going to last. So why not get myself in the best position I can going forward? And people are going to learn this now. Because the last time my biggest regret was I let my anger get in the way of seeing. To be honest with you, I probably would have left sooner if I had been a little bit more clear-headed.
Mm-hmm.
But going through. But I understand why I was so angry at the same time. So I learned from it though. So now I'm like, okay. let's really talk about going forward. How can I take the advantage of the opportunities I see? Because once you get over grief, like and your anger, your sadness, your fear, all these things that are perfectly justifiable. And by the way, we're not saying you shouldn't be justified feeling this way.
Of course not.
Because you should. I mean, that's a perfectly normal reaction. We're just callous fucks. That's what we are. We're just callous.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Through it, and now it's like, meh.
Yeah, it's like whatever. It's like whatever. It's like it is what it is, right?
At least it's not this time in my life, and I'm cool with that. Like,
yeah. So I mean, and don't get me wrong. There are lessons we both are going to still learn going through this too. But but we're seeing this more from the opportunity side of things because we don't. There's no grief, and I'm hoping my secret hope is that people learn how to deal with their own grief better coming out of this.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying too, only without the grief part. But that is a huge part of it. Even like when I hear grief, I think immediately of like loved ones passing, right? But it's so true for really everything. I mean, losing a job or not getting a position or having some kind of passion project not turn out the way you expected or everything. There's grief with so many things when our expectations are not fulfilled or when reality falls so far short of our expectations. There's grief and all of that. It's so true, and that's that's what I hope too. Yeah.
I go one step further. Life has changed. And what happened is the illusions of familiarity got shattered with this virus. Just shattered in a million different directions.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah, so I mean there's guys like me who'll just roll with it, but people that haven't had that sudden jolting change in their life at all, it's a shock to the system.
It's a massive wake-up call, and then especially, I can say 100% that, the massive jolt in my life way back when, coming up on 10 years now, which is crazy, but I can say 100% that was all me. I made all those choices, and like they were awful choices, and I got real deep into some bad stuff, but for so many people, like it's not about choice, and that's got to be hard and difficult, and sometimes I imagine maybe a little freeing too, if we're looking at it from an opportunity standpoint, when all choice is taken away, there's really not a lot you can do to beat yourself up about it, And that was one of my biggest things, was dealing with the shame of having made these choices 100%, well, maybe not with 100% clarity, but at the time, it seemed to be,
it was a good idea at the time. We'll go with that. It was a good idea at the time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that, right?
Yeah. It was more like, this is an awful idea. Let's do it.
Okay.
I could have fixed that.
Poor life choices for the win.
Right.
Right.
At this point, poor life choices. That's what's gonna get me places. So, but yeah, I mean, so many people now, there is no choice in it, and sometimes that's where the greatest opportunity comes from.
Well, yeah.
Because then the choice that is left is, okay, well, what do I do now?
Which goes back to something I just said earlier about like control.
Yeah.
Right. The illusion, like, I mean, the one thing I learned, one of the biggest lessons I learned last time was we're not in control of much. We really aren't, and something that has definitely hit home as I've gotten to my middle age. I'm nearly 40. Can you fucking believe that? Right?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just turned 30. So.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm officially in that middle age category now.
Yes.
And, right. I'm middle aged and crazy, and then I'm gonna be that way. I'm probably just gonna be crazy the rest of my life, and I'm good with that.
Yeah. No, that doesn't have an age. There's no.
No. I'm gonna be 90 years old. I'm just gonna be surfing on a beach. I really don't give a rat's ass what happens at that point. I just won't care. I might need a nap afterwards. I will live with my decisions, no matter what.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's it.
right? But my point is, like, we only have a certain amount of time with everything in our lives. And I think the one thing, we take this for granted a lot. But it's true. Everybody we meet, everybody we are around, everybody we love, everybody that we have had in our lives, we only have a certain amount of time with them. That's it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now, some of us were fortunate to have more time with than others, but everybody is different. Sometimes it's 1 day, sometimes it's 1 year, sometimes it's 10 years, sometimes it's like longer. Right. But regardless...
Even in those crazy long relationships, nothing is going to be the same 20 years down the road as it is right now, even if the relationship continues, if the friendship or, familial relationship or romantic or, parent-child, whatever, it's never going to be the same.
Well, no.
Even when it continues. And that there's a lot of beauty in that, and also, to appreciate what's going on right now. Because this is it.
Yep. Well, no, it's it. Like, you only have this time. So, Dr. Seuss said it best. Like, and I love Dr. Seuss. I'm sorry it's over. I'm happy it happened. And it's a good life lesson. Like, everything that comes into our lives comes and it goes. And when it's all over, you don't carry anything with you. So I think nothing truly is stable because nothing lasts forever. My truly sincerest hope with people in general is going through this, right? Going through this time to recognize how fragile life really is. And maybe instead of cowering behind it, they get bolder because they realize you don't have, what's the term? You don't have the luxury of holding back. You have to go for it now because nothing's guaranteed for you tomorrow, and everything will change tomorrow and the day after that, the day after that, the day after that. And like I said, it doesn't what's the term? I'm just gonna go one of my favorite songs. The first two lines are "It's now, it's never," and I'm like, that's perfect. And you got to make it right. It's it. That's life, always. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And now people are aware of this. It's now, it's never. Right? So the good news is, this won't last forever. Right?
No, nothing does. Right? Yeah. So it's, there's a lot going on. But it is, it's heartening when I see a lot of stuff now where people... And of course, it's not everybody, and it probably never will be, even though that would be great, but where a lot of people are starting to pick up on that, hey, I'm finally getting a chance to do all the things that I've been wanting to do for 10, 15, 20 years and never, in quotes, had the time, right?
Yeah.
and now people are taking an opportunity or making an opportunity out of a really crappy situation to learn about themselves and about each other and about, self-care and self-love and giving and community in a weird way, because really community is, how do you have community when everyone's stuck in their houses? But it still happens.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. And I think it's great. That's one of the things about us people.
We find ways.
We always find a way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Always.
Yeah.
And it's always easier to find a way together. And by yourself, okay, I won't say always.
Well, sometimes.
I never want to be in charge of anyone ever again.
No.
Yeah.
It's a punishment. Yeah. It's like it's when you recognize. Wait, I'm the adult in this conversation. Oh, for fuck's sakes! What the hell?
Really,
how did
we're all screwed.
That's it. It's like, what the heck happened here? I don't know, and I need to run away because it should not be me. It should not be me at all because I am certainly not the adult in this. I shouldn't be the adult in this room. Why am I in the adult? Oh my God! Right, and that's where it comes from. So.
Yeah.
So what I say, right, and so there's only two things about this whole time that kind of make me go, oh my God, and that is, everybody arguing about how the world works right now, which makes me go, does it really matter, guys, right now? Like, is this that important that we're talking?
Yeah, right now the world isn't working.
Yeah.
Or it's working in a completely different way that no one has seen before, so how can you argue it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it's just like, does this really matter? Does this matter right now? I mean, right this minute, it is what it is. I mean, we all went down this road, so let's you know, let's see where it goes.
Go along, right?
Yeah, let's go for the ride, and when it's over, you know, when it's over, we evolve and grow, and then we can argue how the world will work. Because we'll be outside, and we can go face to face, and we can talk hopefully like adults. I secretly hope it's adult-like a conversation, but we'll see, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, have you ever sat down and had a real, like, honest talk with a 3-year-old? Because I can tell you that's some of the most honest and real conversations that I've ever had. Maybe we don't want to be the adults, you know.
Well, there's a Bible verse about out of the mouths of babes. There's truth in it, because they have no filter. They're going to tell you exactly how it is according to them. They may not always be right, but when they are right, they're really right. Like, there's not. It's like.
Right. Yeah. You can't argue with a kid's perception of truth when it is spot on, you know? Like,
yeah, no, you can't. You look at it and you go, you know what?
You are correct.
You are correct. This is accurate.
Yeah.
So,
great.
You know, let's do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, and that's it. And it's like, but again, that's it. Like, we can learn from we can learn from about everybody up to about 7 years old has that. 8 years old, it gets a little dicey whether they still have it or not. And by 9, it's gone. But from up to about 7 years old, there is always a little bit of that childlike wonder and innocence, and it's awesome. And you cultivate that as long as you can, because that is truly a blessed thing. And hopefully, as an adult, I think all writers, all creatives have this. We still have a little bit of that child with us.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have to, and it's. I mean, honestly, it feels more adult and real and honest and just straight up blunt than anything, you know, adult.
Well, sometimes people are just full of shit, and you can tell, and it's annoying, right? Right? Sometimes, my least favorite two and kids don't have any of this, so this is why kids are awesome. My least two favorite two qualities in adults are passive aggressiveness. I hate that so much because it wastes so much time. It's like, just tell me what you think.
Just say it.
Yeah, just say it. I will respect you a lot more, even if I vehemently disagree with you.
Right.
Right? I will respect it, because at the very least, well, fuck, at least you're honest. Like, I can't, you know.
You're staying true to yourself, and that is...
You gotta respect that.
Important and admirable.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you're not trying to make anyone happy while also being pissed off about it, while also trying to piss someone else off about how pissed off you are.
And the second one, okay, so this one's a 50-50 one. This one's a 50-50. I see the value of it. Don't get me wrong, I see the value of it. And that is cynicism. Right? I think it's passive aggressiveness pisses me off more because it's a bigger waste of time. But I think the how do I put this? It's the fact that cynicism can protect you sometimes. That's why it's actually a little bit more useful. It can protect you. But if you stay in cynicism too long, you wall yourself off from really, really good, like, happy opportunities.
Absolutely. I'd say, I mean, the same can be said for both of those. You know, like, passive aggressiveness is also a defense mechanism. And it also is an attempt to protect oneself while also half-assedly trying to please other people at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, like, but yeah, no, I'd see it. I have been down that cynical road before. For sure.
and you probably needed it at least a little bit. I mean, it does protect you. It can't, right? But it can't do it forever. Sooner or later, you have to let it go, or it eats you alive. It just does.
Right. And that's where I found myself.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like I'm too old for cynicism, right? I'm too I'm too old for it. I'm too old for passive. Well, again, you get as you get older too, you realize okay, I'm 38 years old. I'm turning 39 this year, and I'll be like, I'm pushing 40. It's like, you know what? I probably have less time than I have. I don't know if I have more days in front of me than behind me, or more days behind me and in front of me. But I'm not that point. And you're like, I gotta treat all of my days going forward like they really matter, because they do. They did before, but now I'm older and wiser enough to realize how much they matter. So, yeah, I gotta make these count. And I find that those two qualities are the two qualities that get me the most in trouble of wasting my time.
Yeah, and I mean, they take up so much energy on their own. Like where it seems like, this is just a gruff, like brushing it off, but it takes so much energy to hold up those walls all the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't leave any room for noticing anything else. And obviously with cynicism, you're not looking at the beauty in things, you're looking for the ugly parts.
Yeah. And I mean, everything can have a positive use. Since you can't look at things like, as positive as I am, I do have my dark moments. I mean, you have to. You have to. Yeah,
you'd be like real legit crazy.
Well, I mean, probably legit crazy. I'm cool. I'm cool with my Zen. That's how I look at it. Is I'm really cool with my Zen. And
that's good.
Yeah, so I'm cool with my crazy. I'm not going to apologize for being me. It's just like, I like being this way. If you don't like me, that's okay. I'm not for you. I like I said, I'll be with the cool kids jumping on trampolines and eating the ice cream at the Baileys. I'll be that. I'll be that guy. You can be whoever you want to be. I'm too old to worry about it that much. So you do you, I'll do me, and that's great. But the thing about it is, right? I realize that, again, you have to have, once you find peace with yourself, you realize there's really not a whole lot that matters, and you don't got a lot of time to waste. So let's just get to it, shall we?
It's very true. It's very, very true. And yeah, there's something really, really awesome about that. Like there's beauty in like, okay, we're at this point where all the bull is not worth it. So show me the good stuff.
Well, hell, show me the bad stuff too. I'm good with that. Just show me something, right? Right? Just don't waste my time, right? Just don't waste my time.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. The good stuff is all of it.
Yep.
Whether it's good, bad, ugly, amazing, whatever, but at least it's something.
Yep.
It's not trying to pretend.
Yeah. I'm terrified what I'm going to be like when I'm 50. Good God. Because I barely care now at 40. I can only imagine what that's going to be like at 50. It's like, oh my God. I might kill people with my bluntness at 50. It's like they'll just turn to stone right in front of me. It's like, what the hell is this? It's like,
that's a very handy skill to have.
Yeah, I might be part Gorgon by the time I get to 50. It's like, what happened? I spoke the truth and they turned to stone.
Life goals.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
So when you speak truth to power, what are you going to try to light them on fire? Like, what's your desired power? I want to turn them to stone. You?
Oh, that's a good one. I think probably it would be like pantsing everyone.
You're going straight for pantsing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going straight for pantsing. It's go pants or go home, man.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I mean for real though, like literally and figuratively, probably more on the figurative side, since
Hey, listen. You might give I don't know how much. When your kids get older and they're at the point they don't need you quite so much, you might care far less too. You might even care far less than I do. Oh God.
It's very possible. I already care on a very low level And I think what's left of my caring is because I have a kid, you know, like it's...
Well, you have to protect...
You gotta save something.
You have to protect your kid. I mean, it's not about you, it's about them. It's about them, right? So...
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's going to come a point the kid's going to be like, Mommy, I can do things on my own. You'll be like, yes, my job is done. And then you'll just like rub your hands like I'm rubbing them. It's like, all right, I don't have to hold back no more. I'm going to... Next thing you know, there's going to be a whole bunch of pants people in your neighborhood. It's like, what the hell just happened? This lady, she just lost it. She told me the truth.
Let out the truth, man. And the truth. And everyone's pants dropped. Now I just left them to deal with figuring out what to do. Get their pants done around there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'm turning to stone. Your pants. Okay, you know what? That's fine. You know what? People will be terrified of me, but amused at you. Right.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it works. Okay.
Perfect.
That's perfect. Okay. So I guess. That technically would make you the good cop.
I don't know.
Well, I turn them to stone. I mean, I don't know how to unfreeze them. I'm not going to worry about that.
I mean, yeah, I know. I bet if someone is turned to stone, do they experience mortifying humiliation?
I would tend to think yes.
Oh.
I would tend to think yes.
Okay.
Right?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I tend to think yes. See, well, it's funny.
They're just like aware the whole time. Like,
of course they're. They can't move, but they're aware of everything. So it's like
that would be awful. Yeah, that's worse.
Yeah, it's worse. Yeah, I guess I'm evil a little bit. I'm sorry, but yeah.
I can identify.
Yeah, a little bit of evil. No, so. It's just, it's funny he mentions actually one of the hardest things to do is to humiliate me. I've had like some,
me too.
It can't really be done because I mean, so when I was in grade 7, right, I literally go to the front of the class, I'm in shorts and suddenly Mother Nature decided to run its course, and next thing you know I'm saluting the flag in front of everybody. So after that, it's really hard to get embarrassed about anything. Really hard.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like once again, one of those things. Once you've been to the bottom, once you see it, like your worst fear. Once your worst fear comes true, it not much bothers you anymore. It's like, what wouldn't you want to happen in front of me? Well, but it did happen, and I'm still here.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah, I mean. I agreed. If I ever won another Aurora, I'd dance in a tutu and sing "Oops, I Did It Again." It's not, and I'll go all in on that simply because.
Of course you will.
Yeah. Are you all right? Because I don't care.
Fun at that point. That's
what?
Not even like humiliating. That's not humiliating. That's just fun.
Well, yeah. Well, are you kidding? And depending on where I win the award, I mean, they get the front row seat, and I know that'll be on YouTube within like an hour.
You have that to look forward to.
Exactly. I got things like
Just Joshing is sponsored by Wall of Wishes by Susie Vidori. Wall of Wishes is the conclusion of the Aurora-nominated trilogy by Susie. Ada and Courtney are forced to join forces as the school and the fountain are in danger of going away forever. And if the fountain is destroyed, what will that do to Ada and Courtney? Wall of Wishes is available now at Owl's Nest Books. Click on the link in the description below to place your order.
Nothing like an embarrassing spot that leaves things on a cliffhanger. Don't worry, I finished my conversation with Kat this Thursday. Check out her books. The Sleepwater series is incredible. I really dig Kat. Like, she's an awesome person, and I cannot say enough good things about her. So, this was a night I did not anticipate. I ended up working on this until the cows came home, and tonight, and that means that I'm going to have to do more work tomorrow as I'm trying to get Alice Zero and everything else done, and that's fine. That's just the way it works out. But before I go, I have a little bit of a surprise tonight, so I'm going to do my wrap up, then I'm going to tell you a little bonus here. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening to this episode. That'll do it for this episode. Just Josh. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast. I'm on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher. Pretty much any platform you want to find me, I'm there. The Cloud Diver is available now on Amazon. If you got a few spare bucks, you want to support this podcast, it's a great way to do it. I also have merchandise you can buy as well. The website's in the episode description. Definitely do not be shy. Feel free to check in. Outside of that, my Twitter and Instagram is jpenteleresco. My Facebook page is Josh Penteleresco, author, podcaster. Stay inspired and keep chasing joy in this time, because right now, it's now, it's never. Now, before I go, speaking of it, though, I'm doing something a little special for the next couple episodes, and maybe a little surprise a little bit later. Jay Lavelle has rechristened himself to former Jason Lavelle. Actually, I wouldn't say former. Jason just rechristened himself as Jay Lavelle, and he's doing something special for Black Lives Matter called Echoes. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be giving the next 3 minutes to Jay as he reads from his work, and then after that, there'll be a link in the description below on top of Well Wishes and my other sponsors. And yeah, if you guys want to support Black Lives Matter, a good cause, feel free and do so. But that's all from me, guys. It's now, it's never. Keep kicking butt out there.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Jason Lavelle. Though for those of you who follow me on social media, you may have noticed that I am transitioning to the name Jay, J-A-E. But for now, either Jay or Jason is fine with me. So I'm going to read you a little passage from a story today, but I want to tell you about it first. Now, everything I write is personal. I pull little bits and pieces from my life, the people around me, stories that I've been told, experiences that I've had, and kind of from down in the depths of my own inner psyche. And so, when you read, one of my books, you're always getting a little bit of me with it. But this short story that we're going to be talking about today is by far the most personal thing I have ever written. It was born out of my own confusion and fear. It was inspired by my family, the love that they have, and the loss that they've experienced. This was a really difficult story to write. And so when you hear it and when you read it, I really hope that you can feel me, because there truly is a lot of me in here, kind of laid bare with all of my ugly emotions. Now, after I finished writing this, I really didn't know what to do with it. It's not a horror story. It's not an action thriller. There are no killer spiders, no pandemic causing the apocalypse, and there are no paranormal elements. So I was kind of confused about what I should do. This story was a way for me to dredge up a lot of emotions and feelings and grief and try to sort it out for myself. And anyone who has experienced grief knows that it can be a confusing process and a difficult process. But right now, I'm going to be releasing this on its own. I'm going to be selling it for $2 in the hopes that I can raise funds for those fighting against injustice in our country. All proceeds from this book, every single penny, will be donated to Feed the Movement, a small group of individuals based in Charlotte who provide hot meals, snacks, and drinks to all of the people fighting for justice. That includes those on the front lines of protests, those doing jail support, homeless and housing insecure individuals, black and brown folks, and any and all freedom fighters doing the work to liberate all people from the oppression of capitalism, police brutality, racism, sexism, xenophobia, queerphobia, transphobia, and misogyny. I think that this is a very good cause and a very important one. I think that all of us recently have been made much more aware of the horrific injustices.
Josh, shush.